Hey everybody, Matt here. Thanks for stopping by and welcome to Imagine Then Make. So today's June 18th, 2020, as I record this. Because of the COVID-19 virus, I've been on lockdown since early March. So that's been quite a long time. And during that period of time, being stuck in the house, I found myself spending a lot more time in front of the computer. It didn't take me long to realize I needed a different kind of chair or maybe even a stool to sit on. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the different stools that I tried, and I'll show you one of the chairs I tried. So before we get started, I think it makes sense to give you a list of my requirements for this new chair or stool. In no particular order, the first thing I wrote down is that it needs to be reasonably inexpensive. I know you can spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a chair designed for people that sit in front of computers a lot, and I just don't want to spend several $100s. It needs to be height adjustable. It needs to be easy to move around. I do have a couple of different computers in the computer room in my house, so I want to be able to use the same chair or stool for all the different computers I have. So it needs to also be easy to move around, can't be too heavy, that sort of thing. I'd also like it to be easily pushed underneath the surface of my desk for storage when I'm not using it. And of course, last but not least, it has to be reasonably comfortable. Although if you're watching this video, you've probably already heard that sitting for long periods of time is just not good for your body. So it makes sense to take breaks every 25-30 minutes or so, which is what I typically do. So I need a chair or a stool that's going to be reasonably comfortable for that period of time before I take a break, stretch out, go for a walk, and then come back to my work. So the first thing I tried was actually a full-size desk chair. Now, I don't have that chair anymore because it just turned out to be not comfortable for me, so I wound up selling it. But I did try one. I think I paid about $100, maybe a little bit less, on sale at a office supply store. I was excited to try it. It had a bunch of adjustments and so on, but it just wasn't comfortable for me. I'll put a picture on the screen so you can see what it looked like. So I want you to understand that I didn't give up on it, right away. In fact, I got a sort of a secondary foam cushion to use with the chair, but again, it just wasn't all that comfortable to me. And the other issue that I had with it is it just turned out to be too big for the space that I have. It just didn't easily slide underneath the surface of my desk for storage when I wasn't using it. So I got rid of the chair. So it was at this point that I was really strongly considering switching to a stool, or at least trying one. So a lot of you probably don't realize this, but I am an amateur drummer. So drummers use what's called a drum throne, basically a stool to sit behind their drum set. So here's one of the drum thrones that I have. I have a couple of them. And so I tried sitting on a drum throne, and actually I found that that was not too bad. It kind of felt like I was on the right track. Now this particular drum throne and the other one that I have, it's a little bit height adjustable. This one requires, moving a bolt on the post to adjust the height of the seat. This is a very light duty drum throne. My other drum throne is much more heavy duty, and it actually has a threaded screw that you can spin to change the height of the seat. And I sat on that for quite a while, kind of testing it out and see how viable that would be as something to sit on while working in front of a computer. And what I found was that it was pretty uncomfortable after a period of time. Now, this particular drum throne I got with an electronic drum set that I bought used. And so I can't even tell you how much one of these costs brand new if you were just to buy one. The other drum throne that I have is very heavy duty. It's actually pretty heavy. It's very heavy gauge steel. And that one is probably well over $100, but I don't really know. I think I got it as a gift years and years ago. So the next thing I tried was this bar stool. Now it's made out of hardwood and there's no pads, so it's obviously not going to be all that comfortable for long periods of time. And also there's no height adjustment. But I had it in my garage, so I figured I'll just try it and see. Now it turned out to be a little bit too tall, and because there's no height adjustment, you know, I'd actually have to cut the legs in order to shorten it if I wanted to go further with it. But I kind of put this aside. It didn't really meet my needs completely. Then I tried this one. This one does have a padded seat, and but again, there's no height adjustment. It's basically like a work stool, but it does have a seat that swivels. And so I probably should have mentioned that in my list of requirements at the beginning of the video. I think it's very handy to have a seat that swivels, makes it easier to get in and out of. So, and in fact, if you saw my videos about LibreCAD that were shot right here in this space, this is the stool that I was sitting on while I was shooting those videos. So I tried both of these in my apartment in front of my computer, but no go. So the next thing I tried is this Rollaround stool that you can buy from Harbor Freight. They're pretty inexpensive. I think with a 20% discount coupon, it comes in around $20, I think less than $25. So that's pretty inexpensive. Okay, so the stool sits on 5 swiveling casters. I think the casters are built pretty well. The frame for the wheel is made from a heavy gauge steel, chrome plated, so that's kind of nice. The whole thing sits on a ball bearing for swiveling, also nice. The 5 casters are bolted to a fairly heavy gauge pan here that's got 5 ribs on it to prevent it from flexing. So again, it feels pretty heavy duty. I think it has a weight capacity of 250 or maybe up to 300 pounds, so it can handle quite a bit of weight. It is height adjustable, so that's one of my requirements. Of course, it swivels all around on the casters, but my computer room has carpeting in it, so the casters are not likely to move around too easily on the carpeting, but that's okay because the whole seat will also rotate. So that's one of my requirements. So when I tried this at my computer desk, the biggest complaint I had is that the seat is just a little bit too low. Even when it's raised to the full height, it's just a little bit too low. And that's mostly because my desk surface is a little bit taller than maybe it should be. And also this stool is not designed to be used at a desk. It's a shop stool. So I can't really fault the design of the stool in any way. I'm just kind of using it, I don't know, more or less inappropriately. So, but I continued to try it and I decided that, yeah, I kind of like this. So why don't I try and modify one of these roll-around stools? They're inexpensive enough. So why don't I get another one? I'll use one at the shop or 2 at the shop and try and modify this one to make it more suitable for use in front of my computer. So that's what I did, and I'll show you that next. So here's the Harbor Freight roll-around stool that I modified with the seat all the way up now compared to an unmodified stool. This seat is now about 5 inches or so taller than the standard stool. And how I accomplished that was 2 things. First is I used a larger diameter caster. I already had these on hand, so I didn't have to buy them. They're pretty heavy duty casters, just like the ones that are originally on the stool. Then the second thing that I did was I mounted those new casters on a wooden disc. You can see it's fairly thick, about an inch or so. And actually I used 2 of these discs. So the combination of the bigger diameter wheel and the caster and a couple of those discs really raised the height up about 5 inches. So I hope you can see on the camera that there's 2 discs. The casters are actually bolted to this disc. You can see that with kind of a relief hole right here in the upper disc. And then the upper disc is attached to the pan just with some washers and drywall screws. Nothing very fancy. So the discs, the 2 discs and the casters did add some weight to the stool, but it still swivels around fairly easily. So I did try this in front of my computer, and I found that this was much better. The height was much more appropriate, so that was great. Then the next thing that I ran into after using this modified stool in front of the computer for periods of time is that I found that the seat, which has some foam padding, but it's not all that thick, I found that it got kind of uncomfortable after sitting on it for long periods of time. So let me show you what I tried next. The foam padding on the seat is not really all that thick. So after a while it kind of, well, it became a little bit painful to sit on. So I went to my local, I think it was Walmart, and in the auto section there are these like silicone pads that you can buy to sit on while you're driving your car long distances. Try and make it a little bit more comfortable. So I bought one of these. I forget how much it was, 20 bucks, 25 bucks, something like that. And I tried this right on the stool. I just like that, and then sat on this for a while. And this made an improvement. It wasn't, I still felt like I needed to do better because it got uncomfortable after a while, but this was better than just using the plain stool. So the next thing I tried is this. Now this is actually called a wobble cushion, and it's inflatable. On the bottom side there are these, I'll call them spikes or nubs, I guess. They're about 1/4 of an inch long, and they're very flexible. They're not, they're not sharp at all, so it's not like it's going to hurt anything. And it's inflatable. Let's see, there's the valve to inflate it, and it actually comes with a little air pump and a couple of needles that you use to inflate the wobble cushion. Now the original purpose for the wobble cushion is that it's designed to help kids that are a little fidgety in the classroom. If they sit on this, maybe on the floor or maybe on their chair, because this is inflatable, it gives them a chance to kind of wobble around in their chair and still be engaged with the teacher and the classroom and the rest of their classmates. So I think that's the original purpose for this cushion. But when I saw this, I said, why don't I try and get one of these and just use it as an additional cushion to my stool. And that's what I've been using lately. And this has worked out pretty well. I'm not exactly sure how much I should inflate it, but I could try a couple of different pressure values. And because it's this thick, I'm adding some more height to my stool, which then I can absorb by just adjusting the height of the seat. So this has turned out to work out pretty well. Additionally, this pan serves as a place where I can rest my feet while I'm sitting on the stool. So again, that makes it that much more comfortable. So far this stool has worked out pretty well, but I'm not done yet. I tried one other thing. So as it turned out, when I went down to Harbor Freight to buy another one of these to do my modifications on, They didn't have any more. But what they did have was this other kind of stool, which I never really realized before. So let me show you that one. And that's this one. It's got kind of a motorcycle style seat on it. It's on roll-around casters. It does have a ring that you can rest your feet on, like on the red roll-around stool. You rest your feet on that pan. It is height adjustable, and you can see it goes quite a bit taller than the standard stool. So already I'm moving in the right direction. The biggest complaint I have with this particular stool is the quality of the casters. Now, the casters themselves they're plastic. Don't like that. They fit into a ring which is metal, I believe. I think it is metal. I don't think it's plastic made to look like metal. Yeah, it is metal. I can see that there's weldments here. So there is, the casters screw into a metal ring, and then there is a footrest right here, which is also metal and is height adjustable using this knob. I happen to have it all the way down. The seat is fairly well padded, although I did find another user on YouTube of this seat who didn't much care for the padding, so he wound up disassembling the seat and adding another base piece of wood under here, and then putting all the foam and the covering back to kind of raise the cushioned part of the seat, and he thought that that was more comfortable for him. I haven't done anything like that. I'm just using it right out of the box, stock. So this works also pretty well. So you might be wondering, after saying all that, which one do I prefer? And I gotta say, right at this point in time, it's kind of a toss-up. I use both of them in front of the computer, and I'm trying to judge for myself which one is more comfortable, more convenient, etc. And so far, I like them both just about the same. So the other thing I should mention too is that the nice part for me about using these stools is that they collapse low enough so that I can roll them under the surface of my desk so they get totally out of the way and don't use any space, any floor space in the room when they're not being used. So that's a really useful feature to me. So that's kind of where I stand at this point. I do recommend this stool, and I also recommend this stool, both available at Harbor Freight. This one is about 20 bucks, maybe 25 bucks with a discount coupon. This was considerably more. This was right around 80 bucks, I think. And again, the only real disappointment I have in this one is the quality of the casters. They're made with plastic. So there you go. If you're in the market for an inexpensive stool that's reasonably comfortable, on casters, height adjustable, doesn't weigh too much, collapses to a pretty small size, maybe one of these will work out great for you.